Among people from the former Soviet Union, there's a popular joke that there was no sex in the USSR. In reality, the Soviet Union had everything, including perverts and pedophiles, but such incidents were skillfully covered up. Watch this video until the end, and your perception of the USSR will never be the same again. The so-called builders of communism indulged in lavish parties with alcohol, women, and sometimes even men. Leading this culture of debauchery was Pavel Yenikidze, a close friend of Joseph Stalin. Some claim he was the only person who dared to openly argue with Stalin during official meetings. The rise of Pavel Yenikidze. Yenikidze began his political career in Georgia, where he became one of the leaders of local social democratic organizations. In 1902, he joined the Bolshevik Party and actively participated in the Revolution of 1905. However, after the revolution failed, he was arrested. After being released from prison, Pavel returned to Georgia and continued his revolutionary activities. By 1918, he had become one of the key leaders of the Bolshevik movement in Georgia and played a role in establishing Soviet rule in the Caucasus. In 1922, Yenikidze was appointed Secretary of the Central Executive Committee of the USSR. One of his responsibilities was handling the domestic affairs of the Communist Party elite who lived in the Kremlin. Among other things, he ensured that the Kremlin's residents had a steady supply of alcohol, caviar, and women. His efficiency in delivering women to the Kremlin earned him the admiration of his colleagues. A dark transformation. Before taking office, Yenikidze was considered a rather timid man. However, it is possible that during one of these orgies, he realized that power gave him limitless opportunities. And from that moment on, his dark side began to take over. Yenikidze became the overseer of the Bolshoi theater, and that seemed to completely corrupt him. Beautiful and flexible ballerinas were brought from the Bolshoi to the Kremlin in groups. To be allowed into the Kremlin, these ballerinas had to perform dances completely naked in front of high-ranking party officials. And of course, it didn't stop at just dancing, but ballerinas alone weren't enough. The Kremlin needed more women. Yenikidze developed a selection system for female staff. He only hired women who were loyal and wouldn't resist advances from the male party members. He carefully planned things so that official receptions effortlessly turned into full-scale orgies. The ultimate descent into darkness. But soon, even this wasn't enough for Yenikidze. He specifically recruited women who had beautiful teenage daughters. You can already guess where this is going. His victims kept getting younger. Eventually, they were girls between 9 and 11 years old. However, these girls never remained in his harem for long. The women were passed around like objects, moving through the ranks of the elite like a conveyor belt. To smooth things over, Yenikidze showered women with expensive gifts, and as for the men whose families he destroyed, he simply supplied them with new women who no longer interested him. Stories like these usually end in a predictable way. If you want to know what ultimately happened to a man who once had everything, hit that like button, because we're moving forward. The fall of Pavel Yenikidze. Nothing lasts forever, and this reign of debauchery couldn't go on indefinitely. Perhaps Yenikidze could have extended his privileged life, but at some point, he made a fatal mistake. He defied Stalin. Stalin made his position clear: you are either with me or against me. But Yenikidze refused to back down and continued supporting Stalin's political opponents. Out of old friendship, Stalin did not have him executed immediately. Instead, he was removed from his position and sent to work in the provinces. But for a man who had enjoyed such power, this fall from grace was unbearable. He never forgave Stalin for the betrayal. Yenikidze began openly criticizing Stalin, and it didn't take long before he was arrested. During interrogation, it was revealed that he invited women for foxtrot dances right in the Kremlin offices. His case files also included a written note in which he suggested removing Stalin from power. This was seen as treason, and on top of that, he was charged with every imaginable crime. The accusations were more than enough, so in 1937, Pavel Yenikidze was executed by firing squad. Justice or not, Do you think the punishment fit the crime, considering the monstrous things this man had done? Share your opinion in the comments, and don't forget to check out more fascinating videos on this channel.